Hello everyone, I'm MVL and today we're doing a video on modular dungeon tiles, using them in D&D and Pathfinder. No matter what edition you play, you'll want to check this out. If you're a game master, a dungeon master or a player, check this out. In particular, we're reviewing a product of modular dungeon tiles from TT Combat, so let's get right into this. So first up, I'm going to show you what I'm using and then I'll tell you a little bit about how to use dungeon tiles in your games. So here we are with the TT Combat modular dungeon tiles. This is the revised edition, the final design, and it's superb value for money. Here's what you get. You get 24 2-square tiles, 12 4-square tiles, 4 door tiles, these are double doors, 2 squares, 4 corridors, 4 corner tiles, 2 T-junctions, 2 crossroads, 2 long corridor walkways, 2 large rectangular tiles, 2 rectangular tiles, 2 square tiles, 1 large square tile, 1 large square tile with a pool, 1 large round tile, and 1 large round tile with rune. That's a total of 64 modular dungeon tiles in this kit. Now I'd like to just quickly touch on the fact that these are 25mm squares, just about 1 inch. They're designed for 22mm Dungeons & Dragons miniatures and 25mm Warhammer figures. Just to be clear, they will fit 32mm figures because it's still obvious that they take up 1 square in total. Each square represents 5 foot of movement, so 3 squares is 15 feet. A medium figure takes up 1 square. Large creatures take up 4 squares, and so on. There are no walls, and that's because we want every tile to be placed in any possible position imaginable. Any tile can be placed with any other tile for infinite possibilities for design of your dungeon. Now, speaking of infinite possibilities, there are more expansions coming to the modular dungeon set. Already available are dungeon doors. This is 8 more double doors, so you've got more locked doors to halt your party on their progress. Coming soon, you have single doors, 12 1-square tile doors to halt your party's advancement further. And there are some new dungeon sets, so check this out. The new dungeon set includes 22 1x1 single tiles, 4 sewer entrances / exits. If you're playing a dungeon campaign, this can be where monsters spring from to attack your party. 4 3-square corner tiles, 4 3x1 straight tiles, 4 4x1 straight tiles, 4 3x3 square tiles, 2 8x2 corridor tiles, 2 10-square Z-shaped tiles, 2 16-square Z-shaped tiles, 2 cross-shaped tiles, 2 8-square corner tiles, 2 star-shaped tiles, 2 3x6 tiles, 1 5x6 square tile, and 1 5x6 square tile with cryptic writings as a puzzle on it. That's 58 tiles in total. You can use these to bolster your existing collection or as an entirely new dungeon in itself. Now, to whet your appetite, here are some painted dungeon tile pictures. These are courtesy of Martin Wooten, who sent me these on Facebook. As you can see in this image, there are lots of possibilities of use for dungeon tiles. They've been used for steps there. We've also had accessories added. These are the TT Combat resin coffins. They look great as an addition. Here's an extra image Martin sent me of a trap he was working on, which is uncanny because something very similar is in the pipeline coming down. Now let's have a look at how you might use these. As you can see in the image from Martin Wooten, he drew his design on a piece of paper. When I use physical dungeon tiles, I often draw my map out on a computer and I number the rooms. Now, this is a great trick so you don't have to put a lot of text on your map. So if you number those rooms, you know exactly what monster, what encounter, what treasure, or what items might be in there. So looking at that, let's follow this design, and here we are building that map up, and this way you have no doubt in your mind. You can of course improvise what you're doing, but this is a great and an easy way to do it. You can also use these tiles for modules. I think these will be a perfect fit for the interior of Caves of Chaos, for example. The dungeon tiles make it very easy to keep track of a large amount of players and monsters on the table at the same time. When you're playing with larger groups, this just makes it a lot clearer, a lot easier to see what you're doing. Each square represents 5 foot. So if we take this human wizard for example, he has 30 foot of movement. So here's him moving along the table. Now let's cover diagonals. This is something I think a lot of people get confused with. For diagonal movement, I use the kind of Pathfinder rule. Now you can use this in 3.5 or 5th edition, and I do use it in 5th edition when I DM 5th edition. Your first diagonal is 5 foot, your second diagonal equals 10 feet, and then that repeats the rule. So 5 foot, 10 foot, 5 foot, 10 foot. Otherwise you end up getting some cheating distances when you go in diagonal straight lines, and it's not entirely accurate. Now when you're using dungeon tiles, here's an optional rule you can use in your adventures. This is a 5th edition rule for flanking. So here we have a zombie has crept up upon this dwarven bard, but fortunately for him, a dwarven warrior has come to his aid. Now because of this placement, with one dwarf being in front, one dwarf being behind the creature, they get flanking. You have to be opposite your ally to gain this. So if you imagine your creature is looking at you, you're attacking from the front and the back at the same time. Flanking confers advantage for your attacks. It's extremely powerful. I don't really think it's overpowered because your enemies can use it, and there are often a lot more enemies than there are allies. But it is very good at fighting single opponents. So that's flanking. So let's set up a battle here and I'll show you how it works. Here are our adventurers, and oh no, suddenly they're confronted with demons. Battle begins. Now you as the DM decide the starting positions for every miniature on the table. Now you can have a surprise round before you roll initiatives, but that's up to you. As a narrative teller, you decide what happens. So just be aware, you as a DM get to decide when a battle starts, if there's a surprise round, rolling initiatives, and how it plays out. And do remember, it's your job as a DM to put situations for your party to conquer and overcome so they have a good time, not to put your party in an impossible situation where they can't possibly win, like this. If something like this would occur, maybe the ogres have a beef with the demons because the demons are attacking their habitat and they want to fight them, and they go and attack them and just ignore the players, and the players can run away. So do keep in mind, you want your players to have a good time, you want them to have fun. Now here I want to quickly talk about hiding. You as the DM decide when a player can hide. Now for example, we have a mage here out in the open, and there is a monster observing that mage. Now this dwarf, let's say he's a rogue or just has the hide ability, on his action runs behind the mage and hides. Now I would rule that that is not being hidden. Now the situation is, where on earth could you be? You were in the room, you were seen, you ran behind another monster and hid. You know, there's nowhere you could possibly be except behind that creature. Of course you can use cover, being behind a larger creature does confer cover, but I simply wouldn't see that as being hidden. So you've got to be aware, whatever a character sheet says or whatever a player says, you're telling the story, you've got to be in control. And what you want is speed of play more than you want accuracy of rules. And I'll be honest, I get things wrong all the time. That's fine. It's much more important for the game to flow smoothly and quickly than it is to look up a rule every time someone casts a spell that they don't know what it does. And be sure to always customize your monsters. You may have players who are DMs themselves or just very experienced, and they confer that knowledge, their experience, to their character, which they shouldn't really do. But let's say they're fighting a zombie and they know exactly how to fight a zombie. Maybe this zombie is different. So you have a baseline zombie, but perhaps this zombie has been created by a mage and it can breathe fire. Or perhaps it's resistant to almost any physical attack because it's imbued with this dark magical energy. So that's just a little advice on customizing monsters. But remember, the most important rule when playing a game is fun. Thank you for watching. That's it for this episode of DM Tips. More to come. If you're still hungry for some D&D action, you might want to check out a show that I DM coming to you through very soon, The Company of Might and Valor. That features myself, Panthaleo, a fellow YouTuber, and Sven the Crusader and the Jonin Monkey from Monkey Broadcast. So please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.